Across the tropics, coconut processing leaves behind mountains of rough, tangled husks. Hidden inside that bulky agricultural waste is coir, a naturally tough fiber built to protect the fruit from moisture, impact, and decay. In a modern roofing factory, those fibers can be cleaned, separated, blended with an engineered binder, and pressed into precise panels. But before a finished tile reaches a rooftop, every part of that transformation must be controlled. The journey begins where coconuts are grown for food, oil, milk, and beverages. Beneath the outer skin, the thick husk cushions the hard shell through growth, harvest, and transport. Much of that strength comes from coir, a lignin-rich fiber valued for flexibility, resilience, and slow biological breakdown. Mature brown husks are especially useful for reinforcement because their fibers are firm and springy. Once coconuts are opened, the protective husks become a difficult byproduct. Some are used for mulch, fuel, ropes, or growing media, but large volumes can still collect near farms and processing centers. Manufacturing creates new value while reducing the space required for disposal. One husk may provide roughly 80 to 150 grams of usable fiber, while much of the remaining pith can support secondary products. Consistency starts long before the husks enter the factory. Fiber behavior changes with fruit maturity, growing conditions, salt, moisture, and storage. A wet, contaminated load will not process like dry, mature brown husks. Suppliers, therefore, follow limits for recoverable fiber, spoilage, foreign material, and moisture, giving the line a more predictable raw material. Collection teams gather empty husks from mills, food processors, and regional depots. Stones, shells, plastic, and spoiled pieces are removed at the source. Because loose husks occupy enormous volume, they may be baled or carried in high-sided trucks. Covers keep out tropical rain, preventing extra transport weight and reducing the energy needed for drying. At the factory entrance, each truck crosses a weighbridge before unloading. Technicians sample several parts of the load and examine odor, color, contamination, maturity, and moisture. The findings are compared with the purchasing specification. Correctable loads are isolated for more sorting or drying, while unsuitable material is rejected. Approved husks are released onto a reinforced floor, where a front loader moves the tangled mass toward a steel conveyor. A metering hopper creates a controlled layer and protects downstream equipment from sudden surges. Operators and cameras keep watching for foreign objects. The batch also receives a digital identity, linking its source and inspection results to the tiles produced later. Cleaning begins inside a rotating trommel. As the husks tumble, soil, sand, brittle fragments, and dried material fall through screened openings. Extraction ducts capture dust before it can obscure sensors, wear equipment, or spread through work areas. Controlled spray bars then loosen stubborn mud without flooding the line. Dirty wash water is screened before treatment and recirculation, allowing much of it to be reused. A magnetic separator removes nails, wire, and steel fragments before they can strike high-speed equipment. Final manual sorting targets plastic, shell pieces, and damaged husks, since unwanted material can scar a surface, weaken the composite, or stop a machine. Clean husks are now ready to be opened. Tooth rollers crush the spongy structure and loosen packed bundles without grinding everything into dust. Revolving decorticator drums beat and comb the material, pulling strong strands away from pith and woody particles. The settings remain controlled to preserve enough fiber length for reinforcement. The mixture contains long strands, short fibers, dust, and soft pith. Air classifiers lift the lighter fraction, while denser fibers follow another path. Screens remove fines, and combing rollers open clumps that would dry unevenly. The separated pith can become horticultural growing media, keeping another part of the husk in useful circulation. Precision cutters reduce the coir to a controlled range of lengths. Overly long fibers can tangle or clump, while excessively short material provides less reinforcement. Hot moving air then passes through the fiber as agitation breaks apart dense pockets. Drying is critical because trapped moisture can become vapor inside the press, disrupt bonding, and create voids. Inline sensors measure the moisture leaving the dryer. Material above the target is automatically diverted for another controlled pass, instead of being allowed to dilute an otherwise stable batch. Once dry, the chopped coir enters enclosed buffer silos fitted with agitators. These keep the lightweight fibers from bridging across the vessel and ensure a steady supply to the compounding equipment below. Some formulations use a mild surface treatment before blending. It removes residues and roughens the fiber slightly, helping the matrix grip the coir more effectively. Treated fibers must be rinsed, neutralized, and dried again, because moisture or residual chemicals could disturb the binder. The purpose is simply to create a more reliable connection between fiber and matrix. Load cells weigh the prepared coir for each batch. The matrix may use recycled thermoplastic or another engineered resin selected for the equipment, climate, and local standards. Metering units add coupling agents, stabilizers, and other ingredients that support adhesion, weather resistance, processing, or fire requirements. Mineral pigments can color the material throughout instead of decorating only the surface. Computer-controlled feeders release each ingredient by weight and correct small deviations before blending. Powerful paddles fold the coir through the matrix until fibers are evenly dispersed. With a thermoplastic binder, controlled heat softens the material enough to coat the strands without scorching them. The blend must be uniform in composition and temperature. Fiber content is a careful balance. Too much coir prevents complete coating and can leave dry clusters or voids. Too little reduces reinforcement and the renewable fraction of the tile. Laboratory trials, recipe software, and calibrated feeders establish the range, while mixer torque and temperature reveal a blend that is too dry, resistant, or incorrectly proportioned. Before a full batch moves forward, technicians collect a representative sample. They check apparent density, color, flow, and the way fibers are distributed through the compound. A failed sample can be isolated before it consumes press time or produces hundreds of defective panels. Approved material travels through an enclosed transfer system that limits dust and prevents the carefully dried blend from absorbing humidity from the surrounding air. The compound then enters the forming section. A programmable spreader lays it onto a moving carrier as a loose mat, slightly larger than the final tile. Oscillating heads direct extra material toward corners and edges, where thin areas would be especially vulnerable during fastening and installation. A scanning way system maps the charge across its full surface and signals the spreader to correct any light regions before the mat advances. Gentle rollers pre-compress the charge just enough to stabilize it for robotic handling. Nearby, automated applicators coat each metal mold with a precisely controlled release layer. Too little can make the hot composite stick. Too much might mark the surface or interfere with finishing. A robot places the measured charge into the lower mold and aligns it with the cavity that defines the tile's ribs, overlaps, drainage channels, and visible texture. The hydraulic press performs the central transformation. As the upper platen descends, a bulky mat of fiber and binder is compressed into a thin, dense roofing profile. Heat allows the matrix to flow around the coir and fill the spaces between separate particles. Pressure brings those ingredients into intimate contact, creating one continuous structure instead of a loose collection of strands. The molded channels also let panels overlap consistently, so strength and water management are created in the same cycle. Air and vapor must escape while the panel is being formed. Narrow vents in the mold provide controlled pathways out of the cavity, reducing bubbles that could later develop into cracks, weak spots, or routes for water. The press holds its programmed force long enough for heat to move evenly through the material. A cycle that ends too early may leave incomplete bonding, while excessive heat can discolor the composite or degrade the fiber. Sensors continuously record platen temperature, applied pressure, and cycle time. These records form a manufacturing history that can be compared with later inspection and laboratory results. When the cycle is complete, the mold opens to reveal a rigid tile carrying its final architectural profile. A heat-resistant gripper removes the panel while it is still hot and transfers it directly into controlled cooling. Cooling fixtures support the edges and molded features as the binder solidifies. Chilled plates or circulating air draw away heat at a measured rate, reducing warping and internal stress. Controlled cooling is as important as pressing. A panel released too soon could relax away from the geometry built into the mold. As the temperature falls, the matrix locks around thousands of short core segments and fixes their reinforcement throughout the panel. Only after the shape is stable do robotic arms release the tile onto the finishing conveyor. A thin border of excess material, known as flash, remains where the compound reached the seam between mold surfaces. Computer-guided routers trim this border and cut every edge to the required dimensions. Extraction hoods collect dust and clean offcuts before they spread across the line. Material that remains compatible and uncontaminated can be evaluated, reground, and returned to production, reducing avoidable waste. Drilling heads create fastening holes or slots at reinforced points in the profile. Their position matters because installation loads must spread through strong areas rather than concentrate along a fragile edge. Gauges then verify the height of ribs, the depth of channels, and the geometry of each interlock. Accurate profiles allow neighboring tiles to overlap consistently, align across the roof, and guide rainwater away from the structure below. Although the composite is already dense, its exterior receives another layer of protection. Spray robots apply a thin, even coating that seals exposed fibers and improves resistance to water, ultraviolet light, staining, and surface wear. The tiles pass through a filtered warm air curing zone where the finish develops without collecting dust. Different molds, pigments, and textures can create the appearance of clay, slate, or a cleaner contemporary panel while preserving the same underlying process. Freshly finished tiles are separated with protective spacers and stacked without rubbing their coated faces. Quality control begins with high-resolution cameras that compare each outline, hole, edge, and color zone with a digital reference. Laser scanners measure the profile and identify gradual warping or thickness changes that may be difficult to see. Automated scales compare mass with dimensions, helping reveal hidden density variations or an incorrect material charge. Angled inspection lights expose scratches, pinholes, trapped particles, and incomplete coating. Panels that pass these surface and dimensional checks can continue, but samples from every production batch face more demanding tests. In a flexural rig, increasing force measures how the tile behaves under load and whether it bends beyond the acceptable limit. A controlled impact test checks for cracking, puncture, or separation between the fiber and matrix after a sudden strike. Water performance is examined in several ways. Spray chambers direct intense jets toward overlaps, fastening zones, and coated surfaces, while soaking tests compare sample mass before and after immersion. Together, these checks reveal whether water can enter the composite or bypass the assembled profile. Preventing moisture intrusion protects not only the tile, but also the roof structure and interior spaces beneath it. Other tests reproduce years of environmental stress in a much shorter period. Thermal chambers repeatedly heat and cool the panels to study expansion, contraction, and the possibility of fatigue. Ultraviolet lamps, combined with moisture cycles, help engineers monitor fading, chalking, cracking, and loss of coating adhesion. These accelerated tests do not replace real outdoor exposure.